another, but because of our huge network of lawyers as well, we want the students and lawyers, to work out things together. It might be inter, intra students, intra lawyers, but also inter lawyer and student communication. There are some of the opportunities where we have gathered right now. It could be beginning from student internships to writing papers to publishing, in association with lawyers, in association with law firms, uh, several other articulate positions that exist with us, in concern to the legal aspects of the platform. So you guys have access to not just legal seminars or this, platform lawyer, but we want you to access the network that comes with it. And hence, to begin with, we are going to conduct this session with Rashi Suri, who is going to, talk about uh, arbitration and what are the aspects and how is it, uh, you know how when you are going to come out of, your education system, what it really takes to be on the practical side of it. So I would give a small introduction, and then Rashi ma'am, you can, begin with the seminar itself. So I'll tell you a little bit about Rashi ma'am. So she is partner at Upscale Legal. It has, so they are present in Delhi as the headquarters of the law firm exists, but they work all around India. They are pan-India. They have worked with us, immensely. They have been an integral part of the lawyer platform. I will tell you a little bit about the law firm. Upscale Legal, where Rashi Suri is partner, is a multi-service law firm who specialize in corporate and commercial laws. Upscale Legal is the multi-service law firm catering to the needs of various corporate houses, financial departments, government institutions, and independent clients by handling any kind of legal issues and concerns that come through. They are providing a solution-driven law firm and are committed to providing high quality legal services. So some of the practice areas where they are dominantly working on are business registration, contracts and legal documentation, employment and labor law, startup funding and finances, foreign investment. But they have been an integral part for Lloyd platform in working in areas of general advice. So I would tell that Rashi ma'am has been, so she has conducted workshops on POSH. She has done online interviews on several other legal aspects. And how to be the practical. She has made us understand the practical side of law. Being us, not being part of any kind of education community, still it becomes easier for a layman to understand what exists behind the scenes when it comes to understanding legalities. So Rashi ma'am, we would like you to begin now with your insights about the topic that we are working on today. I am now going offline, and Rashi ma'am, we would like you to begin.
Thank you. Thank you, Purnima, for your introduction. And so we have a lot of participants. Some are with video, some are without video. So some are probably relaxing in their own nests and trying to get as much knowledge and as much information as we can. So so I'm assuming, as Purnima is saying, that everybody here, of course, are still pursuing law. And so can I just probably in the chat, if you could just give me an what kind of what year of legal degree that you are in presently, second year, first year? So just to get a sense of what kind of participation we have and what kind of insight you already have. So very quickly, if you could just tell me. All right, so we have a lot of fourth year Okay, so there's somebody in the second year, there's somebody in the fourth year. Okay. I see 90% participants here are in the fourth year. There are two of them in the fifth year, okay, second year, first year. There are very few from the first and second year, but there are a lot of them for the fourth and fifth year. All right, okay. So just to, I think let's try and divide this session between three categories, three big buckets that I would like to divide this session in between. I'll just very quickly talk about mediation. Also, when I'm talking about arbitration, I think it's important for us to take the alternative dispute resolution mechanism as such as a whole. So I'll briefly touch upon some nuances of a mediation coupled with arbitration. The second part of the session, I would like to make it more interactive rather than a monologue from my side, and which could be questions coming from my discussions on this subject or any other questions that you may have. And the third would be probably I'll just very quickly take through some case studies also. So I think depending on what interaction and what kind of questions we get from students here, we'll try and change the format, but this is broadly the format that I have in mind. Now, let's make it a very practical and a very, pragmatic session. I don't want to tell you what sections are there in the Arbitration Act and therefore, an entire discourse on that. I think the session is very clearly worded, arbitration as a career. Now, when we say arbitration as a career, again, I would like to make this emphasis here that arbitration as a career could be in the form of a lawyer arguing during the arbitration or a lawyer acting as an arbitrator. Now, when I say a lawyer, and so one of you or few of you, if you choose to get into arbitration, what I would strongly recommend, it may be too premature for an absolute fresher, an absolute fresh graduate to directly dwell into arbitration. And this is, absolutely my own personal experience and how I have, seen the legal profession unfolding in different areas. It would be too premature for anybody to say that, right after you graduate, you want to start arbitration. That is not going to be fair to you or to the arbitration. So it's important that you have a bit of a litigation experience to start with. Why it is important is that I always advocate this to my team also, and to anybody who asks me, people generally ask me, that there are aspiring law students that what should we do after we graduate? See, the way I would look at it, I have been very fortunate to have a very good mix of litigation as well as a corporate experience. Now, when we say arbitration, it has a mix of both litigation and corporate. Let me first emphasize on that. When I say that because an arbitration is something which parties entrust you with, either as an arbitrator or as a counsel, which distinction I'll come on to at a later stage. But what is expected of you is you will always have a pressure of the client telling you and requesting you and convincing you that you are supposed to read the contract the way he is expecting it to read. So it's important for any good lawyer to be able to come onto the table and talk to a client. It's important for him to also have that litigation experience behind him, to be able to tell the client, see, there are a lot of emotions involved, there are a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of ego sometimes involved when we come on to interpretation of a contract. So as a lawyer, you have to be very wise in telling your client that, listen, we understand where you're coming from. We understand that this contract may have been drafted by you. We understand that while drafting the contract, or some 1,000 emails that you've exchanged prior to entering a contract, you may have a certain amount of intent and certain amount of goodwill involved in it. But now that we are at a dispute, because arbitration obviously envisages and presupposes a dispute. Now that we are at a dispute, as a lawyer and as an arbitrator or as a counsel, what you need to emphasize and make it very clear to your client that ultimately it's all about documents and it's all about correspondences. Just because I intended to do something does not take you anywhere in an arbitration. So to that extent, arbitration and litigation is somewhat different. Your intent and your mala fide or your bona fide or your best effort is only going to be judged on the basis of the correspondences. So you have to talk about the whole transaction as a dispassionate lawyer. The clients are bound to give you that pressure. And let me tell you that that's something that we need to manage as an experienced lawyer. There are a lot of times that we have an argument with our clients because he comes with a presupposition that this is an absolute golden opportunity and there is no way that he should lose in this dispute. So as a dispassionate and a wise lawyer, you need to first segregate yourself from the thought process of the client. To be able to do that, it's important for you to know how a contract will be interpreted tomorrow when it actually lands up in the court. And therefore, when I said that it's important for you to have a litigation experience behind you, that was the reason why I said that. As a corporate lawyer, and with due respect, I have myself been a corporate lawyer. It sounds very fancy. It sounds very nice that we sit in a very nice, cozy, nice, flashy office and we draft out contracts of 100 pages or 200 pages. But unless you know how a indemnity provision is going to be looked at, unless you know how a performance bank guarantee provision is going to be looked at, unless you know how a termination or a damages provision is going to be looked at and seen by the court, you are not going to be a good draftsman. So therefore, the same rule applies in an arbitration, that unless you've had some amount of litigation, arbitration as a career is not something that I would advise you. There may be people who may say otherwise, but since it's a more of a discussion forum and I would love to hear from you. So this is my first take on arbitration as a career. It's important, 6 months, 1 year, but please do get into a trial stage to start with, because that's where the actual action happens. Because somewhat similar things are coming up in the arbitration also. Very quickly, and I'll take this up, take this topic once again later during the session. So this is where you are acting as as a counsel to your client in an arbitration. There may be, 5 years, 6 years down the line, or as you gather more experience, the other options and other doors that open up for you is where you develop an expertise in a particular area. So for example, you may excel in sports law. For example, you may find media very exciting. For example, you may actually land up doing a specialization in the technology part of it. So therefore, after some amount of experience, you may actually get into a seat of an arbitrator, which is nothing but a neutral party who should have, and ideally he's chosen only because he has an amount of good knowledge, a good grasp on the legal nuances of a contract, as well as the specialization that is required to understand that contract. Let me give you a very quick example here. So, and I'm not going to use any names of any clients here for obvious reasons. So there is a very high, technically high contract that we grapple with, which talks about, it's only about Google mapping. It's about how the vehicles are using the automatic vehicle location system. To be able to do justice to that particular project, and to be able to do justice to a particular arbitration of which involves the nature of something as technical as this, trust me guys, you will never be able to do justice to something like this unless you know what Google Map is about, unless you know what is satellite positioning, unless you know there are dark spots. So quickly, just to make it more interesting, if some of you, I happen to stay in Delhi, if you cross from the embassy area to the ridge area, for good 5 minutes or 4 minutes, we do not have any GPS signal around that area. There are a lot of spots in a city which are called dark spots. You will only be able to appreciate all this unless you will not be able to appreciate all this unless you know you've gone behind and understood the technology also around it. Another example that I can give you is in a construction contract arbitration. You will never be able to understand how a RCC is built and why there are milestone payments unless you've had some amount of exposure and some amount of understanding on how a building is constructed. It's fancy to know about RERA provisions. It's fancy to know about build-a-buyer agreement, but you also need to understand how a construction industry works. Another example is that if you're doing something on a pipeline contract, you will not be able to understand as a counsel or as an arbitrator unless you've gone into the technology behind it. And there's a lot of hard work. So whether you choose to act as a counsel in an arbitration or you gather that kind of experience to become and be appointed as an arbitrator, there is much more than just law. Sometimes it becomes overwhelming. Most advocates I've seen and most lawyers I've seen and most arbitrators I've seen are excited about new technologies to learn and understand. But if at all you are choosing arbitration as a career, you must bear in mind that arbitration is sought after and arbitration is looked at as an alternative dispute resolution. All the more reason, and especially in contracts which has special niche attached to it. So do not expect a very simple supply contract always on your table if you choose arbitration as a career. You must, so again, I come back to my, that GPS contract that we were struggling with. And I am not escalating, I am not exaggerating. Before we even briefed any counsel and before we even got any senior advocate, there were close to 20 or 25 meetings, sometimes lasting for 3 to 4 hours, for us to understand what that contract meant and why the other party stopped payments, why the vehicle could not be tracked, why the to be able to, so for example, let me give you a very lame example. If your mobile phone is not charged and it's dead, there is no way you can access Google Maps. So similarly, if a battery is not connected to the AVLS GPS device, there is no way a vehicle can be tracked. So sometimes you have to understand what all these, even if it is connected, the wiring may be bad. Even if the wiring is perfect, you may be in a dark spot. So there's so many different possibilities for loss of a signal, and that you will only be able to appreciate if you've done that kind of homework already. If you just look at the contract and so especially in these kind of technical contracts, there are a lot of schedules because you as a lawyer have only come into the picture when the dispute has happened. And as I said, the client is going to keep telling you, Rashi, you need to look at the contract the way I want you to look at it. And therefore, then as a lawyer, you need to tell him, boss, I need to have correspondences. I need to know whether dark spots was envisaged, whether battery wiring was made as a precondition. So again, I can only say that if I have studied the whole technology behind it. If in a medical technology, there are certain X-ray machines that need to be delivered, which got delivered, but they started malfunctioning. Now, in a contract of this nature, you need to ascertain. So maybe the purchaser of those X-ray machines said that, Rashi, I did everything. I paid him good amount of money, and he's the one who's given me a wrong machine. You go back to a contract and there's a little clause slipped in the contract that adequate electricity has to be maintained. It just says adequate. Now, both the parties, they live in their own happy world that I provided adequate. Now, nobody bothered to check with each other what was adequate for that X-ray machine. So the client is going to tell you, I did everything possible, but you need to go behind the curtains and tell him and split up every precondition to be able to understand that, and to be able to convince to the arbitrator tomorrow that everything that was required to be done was done. So again, for the sake of repetition, I would say, so please bear in mind that if you choose arbitration as a career, be prepared to be able to grapple with these situations. It is not about interpretation of a contract. It is usually much, much more than that. Once you've made up your mind, which I'm sure, right now in the 4th year or 5th year, most of you will be very excited. Yes, we want to learn about this. And yes, why not? Why not have a conference with the doctors? It's not as simple as that. Usually when you go and meet third parties, either they don't like to comment upon it. If it's a high stake arbitration, everybody in the circle knows that why you were there. So it's very important. It becomes sometimes very challenging to fish out information because people, first thing, they आपके पास mobile phone तो नहीं है, आप record तो नहीं कर रहे हैं. These are the kind of feedbacks that you probably will get tomorrow when you go and take feedback from the industry. So this is one aspect that you must bear in mind. The second one is that you should have a very clear strategy. Now, I don't know if any one of you actually did witness in arbitration. Usually, sometimes during the arbitration proceedings, issues are framed by the arbitrator. Now, it's very important for you to think through from your client's perspective and frame issues where you think you are on a solid ground. Do not, so again, a strategy has to be adopted. Therefore, a 360-degree view of the whole dispute has to be kept in mind. You may have a single agenda. I have to extract these many crores from the other party. But while you are researching and while you are studying the contract, I will be very surprised to be able to come to a conclusion that my contract was 100% fine and my client didn't do any default. I will be surprised. I think there is yet any contract. The first impression that the client is going to give you, as I said, is I did everything possible, Rashi ji. Now, please get me my 100 CR back from the other party. When you actually unwind and open up the documents, you feel and you like to go back to the client that, boss, utna rosy picture nahi tha, aapki bahut galtiyan thi. So how do you get it from? You look at the entire documentation. Even the biggest of the clients we've seen, they write letters like, while it was our default, please bear with us. That letter will be slipped in somewhere in the file, somewhere in between the emails. And when you tell the business guy that I need emails from 2014 to 2019, so वो 5 emails निकल के आ जाएंगी जहाँ पे आपके client ने खुद गलती करी होगी, वहाँ पे खुद admit भी करा होगा, गलती भी करी होगी, admit भी करा होगा, और दूसरी पार्टी ने उसको शायद तब नहीं नोटिस करा, बट उसका लॉयर ये नोटिस करेगा. So you need to keep that in mind. So overall perspective is what is important. And the difference here between a litigation and an arbitration is much more extensive and intensive. So this is the main difference, I would say. While a litigation experience is important, the main difference, I would say, this intensity and this extensiveness is usually diluted in a litigation matter. Courts ke paas time nahi hota hai. They have, I'm sure most of you have seen, just kind of give me your yes or no. How many of you have seen any proceedings in the court? Can I just get some views on that? So they have been all yes. So most of you have seen. And so therefore, most of you know how judges are very low on time, how they're not interested, how they've already, the next council is behind you, and he's just kind of, chalo, 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 matter aa gaya hai. So, it's very important and very difficult sometimes to take attention of the court and the judges. That's the difference between an arbitration. You decide 3 hours. You decide. So that's again, one aspect that you have to keep in mind. When there is a big arbitration of a high stake matter going on, just give me a moment, guys. So a very petty matter for you to also consider. There may be Saturdays and Sundays and national holidays that you may have to sacrifice if there is a high stake arbitration that's happening. Usually arbitrations, they happen after 3 or 4 or sometimes during the first half, and the typical duration for an arbitration proceeding is not less than 3 hours. So you have a 2-hour briefing session prior to the arbitration, and then you have a 1-hour session between the clients after the arbitration to ponder on and discuss how do we go about it. So if at all arbitration is a career option for you, then please be prepared for very long sessions, because as I said, all the more reason for an arbitration to go on such extensive and intensive exercise because of the nuances and technicalities involved in a contract. So bear that also in mind when you opt for arbitration. I'm sure most of you will say, no, ma'am, we are more than happy to work for longer hours, and law firms usually make you work for absolutely insane number of hours. But that's the kind of commitment that is expected of a council choosing to go for arbitration. A lot of times I've seen my foreign clients don't agree with that anymore, and most of my domestic clients also don't agree with that anymore. Arbitration is no longer a very cheap alternative dispute resolution, in my experience. So that's the next component of my session, the money part about it. Arbitration is well-paying, good on remuneration as an option. Also because parties, and this depends on domestic as well as international transactions. And there is usually a team of lawyers. It's arbitration is not only about one advocate. So it's usually, you probably getting a senior counsel, and then you're briefing him, and then the briefing counsel also has a team of about 5 or 6 lawyers depending on the technicalities. But yes, good money is involved in that. So in terms of remuneration, if you happen to get interested in all the different components of arbitration that I just discussed, money wise, it's a great option. But yes, a very very intensive research and hard work is what is important and required. Also because if you happen to engage any non-technical person as an arbitrator, and sometimes the prerogative to appoint an arbitrator is only on one party. Sometimes it's done as a mutual exercise, and sometimes only one government department will have a authority to appoint an arbitrator. And not much judgment and not much thought is given that which person should be appointed as an arbitrator and who will be best suited to understand the contract. And usually, the favorites of the lot and somebody high on the panel is appointed as an arbitrator. So, when I said your research and your study is important, it's important because the other party, and unfortunately the person who is interested with the whole concept and to be able to judge and decide on the dispute, is not educated enough. First, you need to educate yourself, then you need to educate the client, and then you need to convince the arbitrator and educate him. So this all requires an art. And with the client, you can still raise your voice. With yourself, you still have a debate in your meeting room with your other fellow lawyers. But guys, with the arbitrator, you also have that regard and dignity and protocol that you need to keep in mind. You can't tell an arbitrator that, boss, go and do your homework. You need to frame issues, get your issues framed in such a manner that you hit on the nail, and therefore the strategy is important. When I say the strategy is important, most of the times we see a concept of cross-examination. So again, I just like to see and get some, how many of you have some exposure on cross-examination? Can I just take some? Yes, yes, no, 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 no. We had a mock trial. Okay. Did you find cross-examination interesting? So similarly, in a litigation, in arbitration also, you have cross-examinations where you get the opportunity to cross-examine the witnesses of the other party. It's very important to do your homework, prepare elaborate questions, be ready to change your questions on the ground, and ask questions that you are wanting the arbitrator to hear. You know, so your questions have to be very clear, because the witness is only going to say yes or no, or he's going to say, I am not aware of it, I need to check my records. These are usually three kind of answers that you get. Your questions have to be very carefully, very smartly drafted. They have to be prioritized, they have to be categorized, so that you hit the nail and drive the point across to the arbitrator without telling him and without telling the arbitrator that, boss, you haven't done your homework, because you can't tell the arbitrator. So the questions have to be again framed in a very, very methodical and very smart manner. And trust me when I say that, there are arbitrations when again 5 or 6 hours or maybe 10 hours at a stretch, we are only framing questions. And we are only asking where we are strong, and we are preempting the other party to ask us questions where we are weak. So while you are making your questions and while you're drafting your questions, you are also going to train your witness. So, you know, there's a whole amount of background rehearsal that you need to get into. I lay a lot of emphasis on that also, because it's something that's, you know, very close to my heart, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But on ground, I see miraculous results coming out of cross-examination. I have seen, if I have tutored my clients well, and when I say tutor, there are elaborate sessions that we hold our clients. There's actually a long table. I tell my client to go on to the other side. I get a typewriter, I get a steno sitting next to me. I make the whole ambience with no tea, coffee business coming in between. Huh? And I do a good rehearsal. I ask him, okay, Mr. Jain, do you suggest that you did this right or wrong? And he's not supposed to look at me, Rashi, what are you asking? He's supposed to answer the way he's going to answer in the tribunal. So this again is a different concept which you will not be able to experience in litigation, but in arbitration, this is again a very fun part. We thoroughly enjoy it, but when I say I enjoy it or my team enjoys it, at the same time, please do not undermine the importance of this. So cross-examination also therefore plays a very important role in your strategy. When you're framing issues, you should know aap kya questions puchoge. So, I see sometimes lawyers sending their juniors issues ही तो frame होने हैं. That's exactly the point. Issues गलत frame हो गए तो आपका पूरा arbitration का course बदल जाएगा. So I hope, you know, I'm putting in these Hindi bits in between, but I hope everybody is okay with that. So therefore, it's fun, exciting, but I'll keep on emphasizing again and again, it's intensive and extensive. So this is about you are acting as a counsel during an arbitration. I talked about your research abilities. I talked about your strategic abilities. I talked about money. I talked about a bit of litigation flavor to the whole thing. I'll just quickly come on to you happen to be appointed as an arbitrator, but trust me, as I said, that's few years from now. It's not that a 1 year or a second year, you know, a 2-year experienced person is not going to be appointed as an arbitrator, whether in India or abroad. So you being appointed as an arbitrator, great money, great respect, and a lot of hard work. But at the same time, lawyers need to do that hard work for the arbitrator. So to be able to come on to that position of acting as an arbitrator, there are many years of experience that need to go behind that. So maybe it's little premature for me to talk about you acting as an arbitrator, because that's something that will unfold in next few years to you automatically. So let me not give you a discourse on that. So that's about arbitration as a career. If you guys have any specific questions, because I think we are almost halfway through. So do you want to kind of start with questions, and then, or do you have any specific other point that you want me to touch upon generally, and then we can take up the questions later?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a lot of questions from the students. So one question we have received from Arjit Mishra, that my question is, as a first year student, field of arbitration is very new to me in both absolute and comparative manner. It would be great if you could suggest some things which I could do in my first year, which would act as a good head start for me to choose arbitration as my career in future.
All right. So Arijit, when you say first year, have you done any, so you may have touched upon very basic papers in law. I think it's very important for you guys or for anybody to be absolutely clear about the Contract Act provisions. Ultimately, Contract Act is something which is going to be very important for any arbitration. So since you are still in the first year, that would be my take on this. The other aspects I mentioned, you know, the other elements of what is important for an arbitration, I've already touched upon. So I think you need to kind of, you know, be very strong with your Contract Act principles. Okay, yeah. So somebody has reminded me on mediation. So yeah. So very quickly, I'll take up that comment. Sorry. Thank you so much for bringing that point back to me. So mediation is a very non-formal way of arriving at a settlement between the parties. It is not about deciding a dispute, unlike in arbitration. It is only about a neutral party getting two parties sit together, managing the egos and the intentions, because as I said, the dispute only happens because both the parties in their own respective cabins are of the view that we did our best. So somebody with a neutral mindset sits and gets those parties sit across a table and understand the gap. But at the end of the day, mediation is only a stage prior to arbitration. It has no authoritative value to as such. So that's my bit on the mediation and the main difference between arbitration. All right. So Sahil.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So we have another question. That is, what are the various opportunities for arbitration after completing the law, and how it is better than judiciary?
So I don't think, I mean, maybe my initial discussion was clear enough. I would not consider arbitration as distinct and separate from judiciary or litigation. It would be wrong on my part to say that because of various reasons. So I hope he's attended the whole session. What was the first part of the question, Sahil? Sorry, I can't see that on the screen.
No, ma'am, people have actually given us the questions on the email. So the question is, what are the various opportunities for arbitration after completing the law and how it is better than judiciary? So basically, the student is asking, what are the opportunities available in arbitration after law?
So opportunities, as I said, you definitely kickstart your career as a counsel in an ongoing arbitration. So either you join a law firm which is handling an arbitration, or you join a client and a legal department of a client is engaged in some arbitration. So those are the opportunities. As I said, it may be too premature and too early for you guys to act in the arbitrator. So I'm not going to talk about that. And yes, how it's different from a judiciary, it has less of protocols, probably less on time. But my take on this is the research and the preparation is much more extensive and much more elaborate than judiciary. That would be my answer to that. Sahil, what's the next question?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, another question is, what are changes come with the institutional arbitration in India? What are the advantages of an institutional arbitration? And what was the procedure before the institutional arrangements?
So institutional arbitrations are usually, where we ascribe and the parties decide to go with ICC or Singapore arbitration. So then we have very specific rules of how the pleadings are going to be taken up. So these are, when we go for institutional arbitration, the procedures and the protocols are pretty much 99.9% very decided, pre-decided. Some institutional arbitrations are even going to the extent of having everything online. There is paperless arbitration. So for example, WIPO is all about online proceedings and online pleadings. So that would be the main difference between an institutional and a non-institutional arbitration. In an institutional arbitration, the procedures and the protocols are pretty much fixed. Rather than leaving it to the wisdom and the discretion of the parties, usually the entire procedure from the claim till the award is very, very predefined.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, we have one more question. Can arbitration be conducted online?
In India, this concept is coming up. Yes, it can be conducted online. There is absolutely no legal prohibition around it. We have seen a few cases where cross-examination was done online. But because of technological interventions not of a great superior quality, we've seen that it lands up taking much more time. But maybe after the COVID learnings, most of the entire legal fraternity is talking about technical upgradation and how actually physical and logistic sense is kind of better in online and digital platform. So we would kind of expect more of online presence in arbitrations. As of now, it would be probably just 10% of the arbitrations are online in India.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, we have one more question. What all courses can help me get an edge to become a good arbitration lawyer?
Sahil, I think I've more or less covered that in my discussion, but for the sake of answering this specifically, I will say a zeal to do something different than just law. Intent and interest to go behind a contract look at the contract only, not only from a legal perspective, but from the entire performance, obligations, all of that would require a whole lot of exercise, which I've already touched upon. Long
Right.
hours, good money. That's about it.
Absolutely. So, could you please discuss about doing LLM for pursuing arbitration as a career and its importance? Shall we go for LLM to, become an arbitrator, or can we do it after LLM?
Become an arbitrator, is that the specific question?
Yeah.
Added education is always better. That's a great thing to look at. But as I've stressed upon, what really makes you and brings out the distinction in you as a good arbitrator or a counsel slash counsel would be your experience and your analysis of a document. So LLM, of course, added qualification is not going to, no knowledge goes waste. It would be absolutely pleasure for more of better educated people to join the arbitration, but experience is what is also important.
So, ma'am, there are around 100 of questions right now. So, students, I'm so sorry, but we can actually have this discussion. We will send you all the answers for all your queries over our Telegram channel, and also we'll share some links where you can put your questions and you'll get your answers by the experts. And of course, Rashi ma'am has written very good articles related to arbitration and has written a lot of other articles as well, where you can put up your questions and ask her, and she will be more happy to answer them. So right now, ma'am, anything you would like to cover more about arbitration as a career after law for the students and enlighten them further?
No, I think it was only towards the latter part of my career that we got into arbitration. And as I said right at the beginning, Sahil, that because I had a good amount of litigation experience in the initial years of my career, so I would say in 20 years, for 2 years, we did only corporate litigation. For about 17 years, it was mainly contracts and agreements and documentation and drafting and revision and finalization and transaction. But somewhere around the 7th or 8th year, when we started with arbitration, I mean, again, lawyers are defamed for repeating things, but for the sake of emphasis, I would say that once again. Please do not categorize your career into separate buckets. Let the water flow between the buckets, from the corporate to the litigation, to the litigation to the corporate. Please keep your options open. Then you're soon going to go and join the world, and soon going to go and get into the big bad world. Do not segregate your options. That will not be good for you. Please keep your options open. Do not get into very sector specific. मैं energy ही करूँगा, मैं corporate ही करूँगा. There are times when we have got queries for an aircraft lease. We've done that. There are times when we've got queries for customs. We've done that. There are times when we have got queries for DGFT bonding rules. We have done that. We have done from RERA. We have done from oil and gas pipeline. This sector-specific restrictions and sector-specific practice is very prevalent outside India. But I don't know if I should say we are fortunate enough or not fortunate enough. I don't know about that. I feel I'm fortunate enough. It's important for you to keep your options open. मैं सिर्फ स्पोर्ट्स लॉ करूंगा, मैं मीडिया करूंगा, 5 साल के लिए भूल जाओ. 5 साल के लिए सब कुछ करो is what my take on this. पेपर्स भी टैग करो, टाइप भी करो, प्रिंटर्स के पास भी जाओ, फोटोकॉपीज भी लो, पढ़ो भी, is my take on this.
Okay, ma'am, very interesting question we have received from Tarun Solanki. I was told that we must gain some experience in litigation to have a grip on the legwork which is involved at the grassroots level before getting into arbitration. How far does it hold true?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Unless you know your affidavit of the witness has to be notarized, and the last date is coming tomorrow, the client is still traveling, you tell your client that boss, and this is a, don't quote me, but ये सब करते हैं. Usually lawyers they say, ma'am आप last page print out लेके sign करके भेज दो, बीच का formatting हम कर देंगे. So these are the logistic things that you need to bear in mind. That's why good you brought it up, Sahil. I feel very irritated when lawyers of 1 year or 2 year in the practice, printer का काम लेना हमारा नहीं है. Boss, if your 600 700 page printout is going to get stuck, what are you going to do? Please, you need to understand, if there is a bulky printout, give a break to your printer. Give a 5 minutes break to your printer. All these, you will only be able to do justice to all this unless you've done this yourself. So these are the kind of mistakes, lawyers have seen young, fresh graduates getting so anxious. Ma'am, printer बंद हो गया. अच्छा बंद हो गया, ठीक है, कुछ नहीं होता. Paper stuck हो गया, बंद करो उसको, वापस करो. So, examples like notarization, affidavit, all this is a so integral part of a litigation experience, which is why they are handy in the arbitration also.
Right.
Your double side spacing, your formatting, your client has signed on the last page and you have entire matter to be fixed in 40 pages because your last page is paginated as 41. So you need to be certain that your content is kind of compressed in 40 pages. You know what I'm saying? So these are the traits of a good draftsman. So you're not a pure lawyer, you are a draftsman too. So it's very important for you to be absolutely great on your logistics if you happen to and you choose to become join arbitration as a career.
Very true, ma'am. Very true. Frankly speaking, I left my law because of these reasons and turned
there's so
myself
many
an
times
entrepreneur.
the team is running around, ma'am, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya. Okay, so you need to think and then give a solution because 12 midnight, no technician is going to come to you. So, there's a lot of things that you need to think through. You need to be a problem solver.
Absolutely. This is required in every field, I guess.
Every field.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much, ma'am. This was really a very enlightening session today, and I hope every student have gained something. And we are looking forward to host more such sessions. And definitely will invite ma'am once again for this. So thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to hand over the mic to Purnima. Purnima?
Sure. Thank you, Sahil.
Yeah. I guess Purnima is not able to join. Not an issue. So thank you, people. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you so much, ma'am. And
My pleasure.
in case you want to reach out for any further clarification or any doubts, feel free to reach out to us, and we will definitely put forward your questions to ma'am and get your answers to you. And thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you all of you, and take care and stay safe, and good luck to all of you. Thank you.